What's up, Spartans? It's another Wellness Wednesday, and today we're going to stay on the topic of mental health. Now, anxiety is something that is ravishing throughout society in America. I can admit I deal with anxiety quite often. Most of my anxiety has to do with performance, whether it be professional or my health and fitness wise with athletics. It also has to play into how well a father I am and a husband. So there's a lot of times that I deal with anxiety. I know that a lot of former athletes deal with anxiety in the macho thing, whether you're male or female, is to kind of ignore it and not address it. But that never solves the problem. It is important to take some simple steps to address that anxiety, and it may not eliminate it, but it could very well limit it. So we're going to look at 5 ways to limit or deal with anxiety when you start to feel it coming. The first one is prayer, gratitude, and meditate. Whatever way that you want to look at it. Imelda and I were talking earlier, and we fall into the prayer aspect. Some other people may look at that as meditation. Whatever works for you to know that you're not in complete control and there is a higher power that is helping you through your everyday and through your life is going to be such a relief from your anxiety. It is also important to make sure that you're grateful. That you show gratitude for the things that you currently have. Oftentimes we have anxiety about the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Why can't I get here? Why can't I have this? Well, the truth is, if you think about how great your life is, you'll start to fade away some of the things and some of the what ifs. If you're always concerned, what if this happens? Well, just be grateful for that it didn't happen, okay? Make sure that you're grateful for what's going on right now. That'll bring you right back to present, and you won't be focused on your past or looking too far into your future. The second one is controllables. This is one that comes back to me from high school football. Our coach always used to talk about you have a circle, and within that circle are the things that you can control. There's a number of other things outside that circle. He even talked about the fact of what the other team is going to do is not something that we can control. We can only control how we respond to it. I think that's an important lesson to learn when bad things happen to us. We can't always control those bad things. What we can control is how we respond to those things. It's important to realize that we have a certain amount of control in our life, but there's also a certain amount of control that we lack in our life or we don't have control over. And it's important to distinguish what can we control, what is our decisions, and what do we have a direct impact on, and what don't we have a direct impact on. Those things that we can't control, let them go, okay? Give that up to your higher power through meditation and prayer, and let that go. The next thing is an outside perspective. I find this to be often with a lot of my clients, right? We'll be talking about certain situations that are going on in their life, and he or she will be like, well, you know, I'm really feel guilty about taking time for myself because I want to spend time with my son or my daughter. I can completely relate. Addison is with me part-time. So as she's with me part-time, there's times when I can't give her all of my attention. Sometimes it causes me a lot of guilt. But when I sit down and I get to talk to a friend or a family member that understands where I'm coming from, oftentimes I realize that what's going on in my head isn't actually reality. Imelda and I just the other day had this conversation. Whenever we're filming this, I'm currently getting ready to take a trip. I had a lot of anxiety about leaving my clients and leaving them, not being there for them 24/7 like I am right now. After voicing some of my concerns with her, she kind of gave me this, okay, yeah, it's going to be all right. You know, Angie does the same thing, right? I go to her and I try to talk with her about some things, and she's like, it's really not as bad as you make it out to be. So it's important to find that outside perspective. Find somebody that you trust that can listen, right? They're not going to try to fix it, but they're going to listen and speak a little honesty to you or a little bit of truth. Sometimes we just need to be told, you know what? Stop being a damn victim and keep moving forward. Release what you have to release. So it's important to have that outside perspective from somebody you trust. The next one, I kind of thought this was foo-foo for a longest time probably up until 2 years ago, when a friend of mine, a spiritual confidant that I trust in that has helped me out, made me realize that my instinct and my nature is a strong suit of me. So what she has taught me to do is when things are going crazy and my head gets all in place, right? And I start to worry and I start to get concerned about what's going on in my head, she says, get outside, go to nature, watch the trees, watch the birds, those types of things. Basically ground yourself. A lot of us have lost the connection with our instinct. We have become so heady. We are always thinking of trying to be logistic as possible that we often ignore the strongest indicator of good and bad, which is going to be our instinct. Imelda and I were talking earlier. We were talking about how when we're mowing grass or we get outside, we like to take off our shoes and connect ourselves with the grass and with nature. That is a great way to ground yourself. Just taking a 5 to 10 minute walk in which you are going to notice everything that's going on in nature, shut off the phone, turn off the ear pods, all of that type of stuff, and just take in nature is going to ground you. It's going to slow your life down and help you take some deep breaths and relieve that anxiety. There's a number of ways that you can connect and ground yourself. Maybe it's just having some quiet time, but it's important, and I feel it's very important to connect with nature. We're so technologically advanced that sometimes we don't realize the beauty that God has created around us in nature. The last one, nutrition and exercise. In a lot of instances, exercise is going to relieve a lot of stress. It's going to help us feel better, just relieve some of that tension. What I've found in the last 2 years of training people heavily on diet and nutrition is that nutrition probably has the biggest impact on anxiety. Meaning, I've had a couple of clients, two to be exact, that eliminated all of the processed food that they had in their morning breakfast, and it completely eliminated the anxiety that they were having. Some of these products weren't even that seriously fattening or anything real bad for you. It was artificial creamer and bagels. Those two things, once each of these clients cut those, they no longer had the anxiety. One of them actually mentioned that she was a completely different mother to her children. Less irritable, less frustrated, just felt more energy, felt like she could conquer the day a lot easier just by simply cutting the bagel and the powdered creamer out of her coffee each day. Those are 5 ways that you can help deal with anxiety. But the biggest thing that I want you guys to know, former athletes like myself, like Imelda, like a lot of our clients in the Spartan lifestyle, we're taught to be tough. You know, you're going to have adversity. Just keep pushing through. We're always taught to keep pushing through and to have that harder outer shell. But if you remember when you were still competing and you had that coach that was always there with that open door policy, why were they there? They were there so that you could come in and you could voice your concerns and voice your hurts and voice things that were bothering you. And you guys can think back to when you were playing, and you can think back to those coaches that became way more than just the drill sergeant that made you better, but they became a role model. And that's important that we still remember that community that we built when we were in our playing days, and we don't look at anxiety as a negative, but just being a part of who we are and find ways to deal with it. And know that there's a ton of other people just like you out there that deal with anxiety every day. So find somebody to talk to and deal with it and work with it. Do not stuff it, but let it come to the top, address it, and work through one of these or all of these 5 steps to help reduce your anxiety. We hope you guys enjoyed this little presentation on anxiety. Join us next week for another Wellness Wednesday, and check out our YouTube page to see all the videos that we produce, both in exercise, nutrition, and mindset through Spartan Lifestyle Coaching. Until next time, guys, peace, love, and gains. God bless.